Did you know there may be a way for regular investors to gain indirect exposure to Elon Musk's SpaceX before it goes public? I am talking about a company that analysts say could reach a valuation as high as $1.5 trillion when it finally lists, potentially the biggest IPO in stock market history. Most people only hear about these opportunities after the easy money has already been made. In this video, we explore a new research report from renowned economist Dr. Mark Skousen titled "The Ultimate SpaceX Pre IPO Play." Get in before the big launch. Discover why he believes SpaceX could become Elon Musk's most significant achievement yet, and how his strategy is designed to help everyday investors position themselves ahead of a potential IPO. Before we dive into the opportunity, it is important to understand who stands behind this research. Dr. Mark Skousen is often introduced as America's economist with more than 45 years of experience in economics and investing. He has served as an economic analyst at CIA headquarters in Langley, has met personally with 4 U.S. presidents, and has consulted for major companies and financial leaders. Skousen has written more than 25 books on economics and finance, and has edited long-running investment newsletters followed by hundreds of thousands of readers. In his newest research service, the Skousen Report, he has turned his attention to one of the most anticipated market events of our time, a potential SpaceX IPO, and how investors might position themselves before it happens. Part of what makes this story so compelling is how it began. At a private gathering of around 5,000 members of the global financial elite took the stage. Out of everyone in attendance, only 2 people were chosen to speak with him one-on-one, and was one of them. In that private conversation, Musk shared insights about and its future that most investors have never heard. According to that discussion, combined with his subsequent research, convinced him that is not just another private company waiting to go public. He now refers to it as mega company, one he believes could create more new millionaires than any IPO in history. Most people think of SpaceX as the rocket company, but research shows a much bigger picture. According to the figures he cites, generated over $13 billion in revenue in 2024, with projections of around $15.5 billion in 2025, and even more beyond that. It now launches about 83% of all payload mass sent into orbit. The next biggest player, including government programs, is not even close. Yet rockets are only one piece. It breaks down into 3 multi-billion-dollar businesses under one roof. One, the launch division. Falcon 9, Falcon Heavy, and the next generation Starship handle missions for NASA, the Pentagon, and commercial customers. Reusable rockets dramatically cut costs and allow SpaceX to underprice competitors. Starlink. The satellite internet network already serves over 5 million customers in 125 countries, delivering high-speed connections almost anywhere on Earth. It is generating more than $8 billion a year and could reach $48 billion by 2030, according to estimates references. 3xAI. AI company behind the Grok AI model has now been merged into, along with the social platform X. Highlights that this gives Musk's AI access to one of the world's largest real-time data streams, and notes projections that XAI revenues could grow sharply over the coming years. In view this combination, rockets, global internet, and AI, positions to dominate multiple trillion-dollar markets at once. Media outlets and Wall Street analysts have already begun to speculate that a future SpaceX IPO could be the largest in history. Materials reference reports saying SpaceX could seek a valuation of roughly $1.5 trillion when it lists. To put that into perspective, he compares it with Amazon's IPO in 1997, when the entire company was valued at just $438 million. Google's IPO, which minted hundreds of new millionaires in a single day. Nvidia's IPO, which preceded one of the most explosive runs of any stock in modern history. According to, could be 3,000 times larger than Amazon's IPO, and more than 65 times larger than Google's at the time of listing. His conclusion is simple, that if these earlier listings changed lives, a massive SpaceX IPO could be even more dramatic. But he emphasizes a critical point. The biggest gains in these stories were often made before the IPO, not after. Here is the problem Mark Skousen highlights. Most pre-IPO opportunities are off limits to everyday investors. They are typically reserved for venture capital firms, wealthy insiders, accredited investors invited into private rounds. By the time a company finally lists on an exchange, notes that studies suggest as much as 95% of total profit potential may already have been taken by early backers. That is why many people feel like the deck is stacked against them. Mission with the ultimate SpaceX pre-IPO play is to show two ways ordinary investors might participate indirectly using publicly accessible vehicles before a potential IPO takes place. So what exactly does the report reveal? According to the presentation, it lays out two distinct paths. Path 1, a diversified venture-style fund. The first path is a venture-style fund available through mainstream platforms that holds a basket of private companies, including SpaceX. Mark Skousen highlights that it is open to non-accredited investors. The minimum investments can be relatively low, around a few $100s. It offers diversified exposure to multiple high-growth private firms with SpaceX as one of its top positions. This, he explains, gives investors a practical starting point, fractional exposure to the private markets without needing venture capital connections. Path 2, a concentrated backdoor to SpaceX. The second path is what calls his true ultimate SpaceX pre-IPO play. Here he points to a public vehicle run by a billionaire fund manager who has been quietly accumulating for 8 years. According to this manager, turned an early investment into a 30-bagger for his investors, built his firm into a $45 billion powerhouse, and now has roughly 32% of his fund's assets in making it one of the largest non-Musk positions in the world. Refers to the key to this vehicle as a 5-letter access code, a ticker symbol he reveals only inside his report. The idea is simple: by buying shares in that public vehicle, investors may effectively piggyback on a major private stake without needing to qualify for private rounds themselves. Of course, also notes that no investment is guaranteed and that investors should never put in more than they can afford to lose. One of the most attention-grabbing parts of thesis is his view on timing. He points to 3 converging catalysts. One, public hints from on social media interpreted as confirming IPO plans. Point 2, a private valuation that has grown so large, around $800 billion to nearly $1 trillion, that staying private may no longer make sense. Reports indicate that Wall Street banks are already preparing a mid to late 2026 IPO target, with valuations aiming above $1.5 trillion. Singles out March 26, 2026, the final day of a major satellite and space conference, as a likely date for an IPO announcement, though he is clear that this is his own prediction, not official company guidance. His message is that if he is right, the quiet window for early positioning could close quickly once steps up and the world's media begins to cover the story 24/7. If you would like to explore research in detail, his special report, The Ultimate SpaceX Pre-IPO Play, get in before the big launch, lays everything out step by step. The diversified venture-style fund that includes SpaceX as a core holding. The 5-letter access code to the concentrated vehicle built around one of the world's largest private SpaceX stakes. 3 additional secret partner stocks he believes could benefit from SpaceX's rise across launch satellite hardware and Starlink distribution. The report is currently being offered as a free bonus when readers take a trial of the Skousen report, which also includes monthly market analysis, a model portfolio, and weekly updates, backed according to the promotion by a 365-day money-back guarantee. Opportunities like this do not come along often. Most people watched and changed the world from the sidelines. He believes may be the next great chapter in that story, perhaps the biggest yet. If you want to learn more about his ultimate SpaceX pre-IPO play, check the link in the description, review the research for yourself, and decide whether this kind of strategy fits your risk tolerance and goals. The future of space, global internet, and AI is unfolding right now. The question is, will you just watch it happen, or will you at least look at how others are trying to position before the biggest IPO in history?